I think my long-term vision or goal in my mind is to continue to support communities so they can have a safe space.
What message or advice would you give to Black and brown individuals who may be hesitant to seek out help for mental health struggles or thoughts of suicide?
Phi Beta Sigma got soul. Phi Beta Sigma got soul. Phi Beta Sigma got soul.
Hi, my name is Donnell Buggs. I'm the Director of Bigger and Better Business for Kappa Upsilon Sigma Chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. We're here to acknowledge and celebrate National Suicide Prevention Month. And I'm here with Sharea Farmer. She is the CEO of RS Counseling and Wellness Center, located right here in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. And we're going to talk a little bit about the services and really get to know Sharea and light of suicide prevention. So Sharea, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for being here. I'm going to jump right into some of the questions because I know this is a very sensitive topic.
Absolutely.
But I would like for the audience to get to know you a little bit as well. So can you give or describe your background and your experience as a founder as well as a therapist?
Okay, so I have officially, as of 2023, have been a therapist for 20 years.
Wow.
So I am the owner of RS Counseling and Wellness Center here, like Donnell said, here in Cinnaminson in New Jersey. And we are a outpatient and consultation organization, which really means that we work in both the outpatient mental health and behavioral health area, as well as consultation, where we provide trauma-informed care and racial equity related consultation, coaching, and leadership development.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And what inspired you to establish RS Wellness, Counseling and Wellness?
Well, when I feel like it was a God-given kind of a thing, just in terms of a calling, always being a therapist that really was focused on the development and the health of Black and brown people, specifically Black women being my primary area of focus. And so when I was working in those areas in my own life, I had some personal tragedy and grief that came up. And as a result, I think I wanted to move away from therapy, quote unquote. And then I feel like God was like, that's not what I called you to do. And so part of my grieving process was coming to the realization that I do need to expand past helping other people open up their and grow their organization to developing my own.
Wow. So it sounds like the cliche from tragedy to triumph.
Absolutely.
Right. You use the pain and your experience to give back to help other people who are going through maybe similar things that you've experienced as well. Statistically, because we're in the month of September, National Suicide Prevention Month. Between 2013 and 2020, the CDC said that 23,219 Black people died by suicide, and that the rates rose 66% among Black men and 80% among Black women. What do you think are some of the factors that may contribute to why these numbers are continuing to grow?
I think part of it is that we have this unresolved issue called racism. And because we have this unresolved issue that we don't like discussing at the larger scale in terms of the US, America, / going even onto a local, even individual scale, where we don't like to talk about the impacts of generational harm and trauma. And as a result, I think sometimes our mechanisms to coping, dealing, de-stressing, and kind of knowing what we can ask for help for it's costing us our lives. And I think when we look at the time frame of where it's increased, we think about the pandemic and the isolation that also led to people being separated from family and support that usually would have been a resource when we were down and out, or sometimes not able to kind of get ourselves out those funks. Even though there's some element that is also connected to the chemical and the imbalance of our health, there's still that element of isolation that happened that I believe really for our communities, especially when it comes to surrounding ourselves with love and connections, I think that really impacted us whether we like it or not. And then I'm going to add one more just because of the time frame where the increase had grown, is that we really were dealing with blatant racism in both equitable areas like healthcare, health management, and death and grief really started to be a true reality for many of us. And so I think we really had a lot of complicated issues happening all at the same time.
Mm.
But we also have some historical things that have yet to be resolved and are now being put into position, if we think about a state like Florida, to be considered unreal or not impactful.
That's right. That's right. Great points. Great points. Looking at the numbers, the stats, what are some of the early warning signs of suicidal behavior? Let's start with that.
I think the largest one is signs of depression. So looking at a person who, if we think about isolation, who went from spending time with others, being connected to their family, their friends, to not wanting to be around anyone at all.
Mm.
Someone who might be like looking at or considering death as the option is going to have a sense of hopelessness, helplessness, and a feeling that there's no answers to their issues or problems that they're having. And then we can see sometimes on the outside, as I also want to preference, there's sometimes things that we just don't see or can't see. But on the outside, there's things like giving away all your items. Those things are still relevant to this day. Having conversations where there is no outcome for the person. There's no result to tomorrow. Right. So a person might be saying something like, hey, you know what? I want to give you these things and I love you and always remember me. Right. And just certain things that are triggering us to feel like there's this form of finality where I've concluded that there's no more that I can do. And so the best I can do is not be here. And so listening for those signs and then also watching and being okay with asking the question out loud. Is everything okay with you? How are you feeling? It sounds like you're giving away all your things. And I'm worried that you're doing that because you don't want to be here. Right. Being comfortable with having the conversation out loud, because I'd rather be wrong than to not say anything and later on have regret and guilt.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. For those family members and friends who may have someone who talked about suicide or considering it, what suggestions do you offer those who have someone that in their life that is struggling with suicidal thoughts and mental health related illnesses?
I think don't be afraid to talk about it out loud with them. Don't be afraid to do more than just try to encourage them to stick around. Be open to say, hey, you know, if you are interested, I go to therapy with you. If you want me to, I'll call the therapist right now with you so we can get an appointment. If you like being active in terms of giving advice, but being supportive in that advice, right? So I always say when it comes down to it, are you willing to go with me if I'm struggling because I can't go alone, right? So be the person you would want to show up for you. So like when we think about grief or loss, when someone passes away, we come to their house and we give them food. We tell them, you know, take care of yourself. And that's usually for a time frame. Right. Some of those same things can be helpful when a person is struggling with mental health. Coming to them, finding ways to like spend time with them to help them to feel encouraged to get out and do things. So my recommendation is to be the person that you really would want to help you in a situation where you're grieving and when you're actually feeling like you're down and out and don't know what to do. And a lot of times that's just about being present, empathetic, and listening to what they're saying and past even words sometimes body language, actions, things like going into bed and staying in bed all day, being encouraging, but also being active in their solutions. Right.
Absolutely. Because sometimes I think people are not present because they don't know what to say. You know, because they don't necessarily know how to handle these things themselves. Absolutely. So how do I help somebody else if I don't even know what to say? When in actuality, like you said, just being present, just being empathetic, just being an ear to them, even if they're not saying anything, but just showing that you care by just being present can make a big difference.
And that statement right there, I don't even know what to say, can be what you say. You know, I don't know what to say, but I know that I want to be here for you. Like sometimes those words speak louder than you trying to convince a person and tell a person or figure out the right. No, I don't know what to say, but I am going to be here with you. And sit here.
Yeah, absolutely. What measures do you take to train and support your staff in dealing with sensitive and potentially crisis situations involving suicide and mental health crises?
So part of what we do here is that all of our therapists, as well as our consultants in training, are expected to have their development every year around areas in depression, trauma, as well as suicide. And so we actually provide them with the continuing education so that they don't have to reach out and search for it. We just so happen to be accredited to be able to provide continuing education for people. So that helps because then I can actually create trainings that benefit multiple mental health professionals. and my staff can actually benefit from it. And so we try to be very intentional about incorporating culture as well, because we are specifically working in racial trauma in areas that are related to Black and Brown communities that are very trauma filled, but also depression and clinical, other clinical mental health issues included. And so we try to make sure we're intentional to have that professional development in-house. And then when we can't do it in-house, we send them to trainings. So for example, all of our people of color are trained in racial trauma. And that was something that's done outside of us. But we make sure that it's something that is important for us to be able to assess the clients that are coming through our doors.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. What is your long-term vision for RS Counseling's impact on suicide prevention within marginalized communities?
I think my long-term vision or goal in my mind is to continue to support communities so they can have a safe space, to know that we're here and that we have the available therapists that can provide, say, one-on-one for clients and families, right? And so I think having that space that wasn't always provided for us when I was younger, or was not always there because they just did not have therapists who looked like me, and or there was some level of had to be in trouble to get therapy. And in reality, I think therapy is more than just the trauma and the tragedy. It's also sometimes the upkeep and the care.
That's right.
And so I think my vision is for us to be here to support those communities that sometimes don't feel seen and don't have a safe space to be themselves in and authentically themselves.
Last question for you, Sharea. What message or advice would you give to Black and Brown individuals who may be hesitant to seek out help for mental health struggles or thoughts of suicide?
Oh, wow. I think the first thing is that you are not alone, that there are people that care and want you to be here. And sometimes, even if you don't have it, you can come and find a place that will help you to create it. And so I just want people to know that not being alone equates to sometimes just taking the first step to go get the help and support. And also knowing that there are trained professionals now more than ever who are going to incorporate your identity, your culture, the things that you go through that may feel like it's just you, that they may have a better insight than that they've had in the past.
Wow, that's amazing. You're doing great work, phenomenal work. And, you're getting a chance to just hear just a small bit of the things that she's doing. She's doing great things, but she's really doing a lot of great things that I'm hoping that through this interview that you will look into all the other things that RS Counseling and Wellness is providing our communities. They're doing phenomenal things. Sharea, if someone out here who wants to get in contact with you, maybe for more information, maybe even counseling, maybe they have somebody that they think would benefit from your services, how can they get in contact with you? So
you can reach us at rscounseling.org, which is our website, or you can actually call us at 856-389-5458. Our intake specialist will usually call back within 24 hours to 48 hours from the time, except on the weekends. So I'm just letting you know, just to be honest, because we're not a 24-hour site. And so usually someone will be in touch with you to kind of get the information that you need and to send you to the right person or place within our services. Awesome. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but behind us, we have some journals here. Can you tell the audience a little bit about these journals? So I absolutely love being a therapist, but because I am not as active in I'm not currently taking any clients at all. However, I do have other staff that is, so I gave that information for that purpose. But what I love to do is to create opportunities for healing and growth. And so one of the communities that I'm building is for Black women healing from trauma. And so these are just a extension of that community. And what that community does is we do journaling, we do prompts that are specific to Black women around trauma, healing from trauma, and also grief, because that's important for me as well, as part of my own journey. And so those are just a few of the examples that we have related to our journaling. Wow, that's awesome. So make sure you stop by and get one of these journals, pass them out to your family and friends. Absolutely. Journaling is so powerful, probably don't get as much acknowledgement as they should, but they're very, very helpful. So please make it your business. And can they get these journals on your website as well? So as of right now, I'm going to have them up hopefully by the time this is out. So if I say RS Counseling or rswellness.org should have them under our shop page. If they are not there, if you actually inbox us call and let us know that you're interested, I will be able to have it. But I'm assuming that I'll have it up by this week.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. And you're doing hybrid. You're doing in person and virtual.
Yes, we actually are seeing clients both in person and virtual. So if you are in the Philadelphia or South Jersey area, we are doing clients, I believe, on Thursdays for our in person. If there is availability, you can give us a call, and our intake person will let you know. But we also still do virtual every day of the week.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any upcoming events you have?
Right now, we are going to be planning for a fall open house, and so that will come in October. So I don't have the exact dates. However, we are the community in which I was talking about earlier. It's called the Black Women Healing Series, and that series is dedicated to incorporating different holistic approaches to our healing as Black women, and the things that we may be responding to: trauma, depression, and all types of things. So it's educational courses, an app where you can actually hear meditations, affirmations, and different things that are specific to Black women. So the journals are example, and that can be found at rscourses.com under Black Women Healing.
Right. Phenomenal. Make sure you check that website out. Check in for more information. They continue to do great things and will continue to do great things. Sharea, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the wonderful information that you shared with the audience and I. Please check out the website. Also, if you would like to see this video or this interview, you can check out our website at www.pbskus.net. Thank you and have a blessed day. Thanks again.
Y'all be well.